Hello and welcome to the NC podcast. My name is Natasha Collins and I am the host and the founder of NC Real Estate, which includes its members club for landlords and property investors to come and build profitable property portfolios that completely align with their goals. If you haven't checked out my website yet, head on over to ncrealestate.co.uk where you will find all the information about every single little thing that I do. So do make sure that you go over there because it's awesome. It's my homepage for my firm of surveyors, NC Real Estate. So really hope you enjoy it. So how are you doing this week? There has been a lot of changes. It's felt like a really turbulent week, especially, number one, UK went back into lockdown for a month. I know that that's causing a lot of people stress, the fact that they can't go out, they can't do as much as they wanted to before. I really do hope that it succeeds. Whatever Boris Johnson wants to happen, it is successful, because right now it feels like Bojo is just chucking stuff at the general public to try and create a solution when right now there's not a solution. There is not a vaccine. So that is, without a vaccine, what are you going to do? I mean, the only thing is mask up. Please wear a mask. Seriously, it helps because it means that you're not spreading the virus onto someone else, even if you've got it yourself. I mean, by not wearing a mask, you're essentially saying it's okay to kill other people. No joke. That is as strong as I feel about it. And if you've now gone too political for me, Natasha, fine. I don't care. I'm really advocate for people doing whatever they can to make this pandemic stop, or at least slow it down as much as possible. Yeah, we're always going to have to live with COVID-19 now that it is part of our illnesses, I guess, the illnesses are about, but there is stuff that we can do. It's great to see other people. I like seeing other people, but if you can wear a mask and wash your hands and just be a little bit hygienic, that goes a long way. It really does. And it also means that we can start traveling. Politicians aren't so het up and they aren't making illness political. So important. Over this side of the pond, I'm recording this as Donald Trump is trying to take down democracy. What an asshole, is all I can say. I try not to get too political on this podcast, but one thing that winds me up more than anything is these white guys thinking that they've got all the power under the sun. Mate, sit down. We all know that if you don't become president, and probably by the time that this goes out, the presidential nominees or the presidential race will be over. But we all know that he's probably going to jail if he doesn't become president. So he is fighting for his life. He is on that sinking ship that is going down because he doesn't want to go to jail. He's an old guy, probably just wants to live out the rest of his life in this luxury. But protecting yourself and trying to step in the way of democracy is just the most scandalous thing you can possibly do, regardless of what side of the coin that you're on. It is an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. So we'll see what happens. I know for sure that Chris and I have now had to start our green card visa application because we need to get off the visas that we're on. It's just too much. We can't stay on them because I don't know that we'd be able to travel for a while. So that's what we're doing right now. Luckily, I guess we moved ourselves to South Carolina, in and around Charleston, and it's quiet down here. We feel safe, it's very relaxed, and that's probably the atmosphere that we're in. But I'm really appreciative for that. Very grateful. Of course, I'd love to go home and see my family anytime soon. I really miss everybody. But I know that now's not the right time, and we can be grateful for the fact that we're in a safe place. So speaking of Charleston, I did something hilarious this week. Basically, I can't not be involved in a property project that I'm like hands-on with and just wanting to get involved with. I cannot sit on my hands. I have to be involved with something. And so what did I do? I looked through my contacts on Instagram and I thought, where are my Charleston realtors? Found one who I've been following for a long time, have the most beautiful properties. And I messaged her, I was like, look, I'm an immigrant, I'm on a non-permanent working visa, can I get finance? Because the flip side to that is that we are in an Airbnb. This Airbnb is lovely, but we're paying an awful lot of money on a monthly basis. And I thought, well, hold on a minute, rather than giving that to somebody else, can I do it myself? So my contact on Instagram sent me a DM back and she was like, yes, I've got the perfect broker for you. Go see him. He'll look and whether you and Chris can get finance. So long story short, last Tuesday, hopped on down to this office where this mortgage broker works. Everybody in masks. You know, we don't take our masks off when we go out to meetings. In fact, it's one of the first property meetings, apart from when I was on site for New York Avenue up in Jersey. It's the first property meeting I've had in such a long time. Oh my gosh, it felt so freaking good to be meeting in person. What a revelation. Anyway, we went through all of our financial details and long story short, we can get a mortgage at 2.875% interest rate fixed for the next 30 years. So I now have a budget of $400,000 to go out and find a property in Charleston, in and around Charleston. I want an Airbnb, a holiday let, somewhere that we can come back on holiday if we're not going to be here all of the time, because oh my gosh, it is the most beautiful place in America that I have been. Seriously, I would advocate for this area all day long. I love it. Really, really love it. Here's the other thing. Number one, around here you don't pay property tax when you buy a property. It's tax-free. Number two, you can get 95% mortgages on this. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought that? I did not realize. Now, the difference between America and the UK is that you have to get approved for lending before you can go out and start looking at properties. So the lending process looks at your social security number, it looks at your credit history, it looks at your income, and then you can borrow accordingly based on that. Now, also when you go through lending, it looks at items payable in connection with the loan. So on top of the loan, we have $3,435 roughly that we would have to pay. And then additional settlement charges. So the title owner's policy, any recording fees, which come out at roughly $300 and something. And then what they do is they calculate your total estimated monthly payment. So it's not just your mortgage payment, and this would be principal and interest, so repayment plus interest. It's also the fact that you have to get insurance, and your broker is going to be paying that for at least year one. You have to include your real estate taxes, which around here would be roughly $200 a month. So it's tax-free to buy, but here it's $200. And then your mortgage insurance for if you've got a higher than 80% loan to value mortgage, which roughly on this mortgage works out at $180.50. So altogether, roughly on a 95% mortgage, for all of that included, is going to be $2,089 a month. For a 4-bed Airbnb, you can get at least $4,000 a month. It is a no-brainer. So I've now got a project again, you guys. This is what I'm going to be looking for. I mean, the total cost that we have to put into this project, $27,000. Nothing. $27,000. That is about £22,000 roughly. Nothing. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I was not expecting to be able to get finance. I literally just asked around to see if it was possible, and it was. Thank goodness. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Look, it's really new. It's only happened in the last couple of days, but very, very, very excited. Next up, can I talk about something in the UK property market? Because I just don't think people believe me enough. But there is 6 degrees of separation in the UK property market. You will know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone. You can always find someone who knows someone, right? And that's the same with properties. Property deals tends to be that if you are in the property industry, and I work on a national level in the UK property market, not just a local level, I've come across a lot of property transactions and I've been involved with a lot of properties, right? So chances are I've either dealt with a company or I know someone who's dealt with a company and I know what goes on. Tends to be that way. Very rare that that doesn't happen anymore. If it does, fantastic. I love meeting new people. But here's the story of why I'm bringing this up. This week, an old contact of mine, when I say contact, a neighbour from when I was a child, emailed me and said, hey Natasha, I run a development firm, or I'm part of a development firm. We're looking for investors and we thought you might want to get involved because we're working in Bath. Long time no speak, hope you and the family are well, blah, blah, blah. So it's all really friendly. And because I've known that person, I'm more than happy to have a conversation about it. So I said, oh yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what you're doing. I do a lot in Bath. Tell me what's going on. Then I went to their website to see what was going on. What do they do? What was their speciality? Of course, I have to check these people out. Turned out that they were the developers on a project next door to another property that I'd been doing some work on. I was looking at the service charges. And this developer was trying to join the freeholds together because the property that I was working on actually was a long leasehold block for a larger freehold plot of land. And so what this developer was trying to do was change up this long lease in their favour. Secondly, they had absolutely been chaotic during the development. Right, really chaotic. They had caused damage to the common parts of this long leasehold block. They had made it so that this long leasehold block could not rent out their apartments during holiday season. This is a holiday apartment block in Woolacombe. Really specific, I know, right? And they had used the car park area for the long leasehold block for the majority of the development. So it had meant that the long leasehold block had really had to sacrifice a lot for this development to be put up. And because of that, there had been an agreement put in place for the developer to pay the long leasehold block compensation, right? In the last couple of months, that developer had come back to the long leasehold block and said, we can't pay compensation because we can't afford it. Well, why the hell are you coming to me asking for money? Is it because you want to do a new development, or is it simply because you've got debts to pay? So, unbeknownst to them, this developer who had got in contact with me, he'd been chasing me and he said, oh, my MD, would love to speak to you, want to find out, what do you want to get involved in? Do you want to, be an investor in our projects? And I got a couple of chasers, and I thought to myself, the absolute cheek of it. You have obviously been combing LinkedIn for anybody that you know to phone them up and see if you can build some good rapport so that you can find finance for some other dodgy deal that you can do. Because if you look at their development, they haven't sold it, and that's been on the market since 2019. So they'll be losing money, they cannot afford to pay compensation, and quite frankly, they are trying to agree dodgy deals. And I have been on the other side of it, so I have seen firsthand what they've been trying to do. So I emailed back and said, hey, I will leave the name blank for the time being. Thank you for reaching out. I'm going to decline a call with you. The reason being is that it appears that you are struggling financially because you haven't paid the compensation on this block when you owed it. So either you're not financially stable or you just don't stay true to your word. Either or, it really is not in my best interest to recommend your firm for me to invest in or any of my investors. Good luck for the future, Natasha. What else are you hoping that I'm going to say? That's the thing. What goes around comes around in this industry. If you are not open, honest, transparent, I say this every single week that I do a podcast, if that is not you, you are going to get smacked so hard every time you go out and try and do something more that's dodgy. Now, it might be that they're seriously well-meaning, but you can't put up another development to pay for a previous development's mistakes. It doesn't work like that. You just keep digging your hole, digging your hole, digging your hole, and especially because at the moment, building materials are so hard to come by, right? So it means that your developments are going to be, the development time is going to be far longer. And it means that you just aren't going to be able to make these massive profits that you're saying that you're going to be able to. And I think we're going to see that across the development pipeline. Construction might be fine right now. Of course, construction is going ahead. But what happens if we have a no-deal Brexit and we need to be getting supplies from offshore, but taxes go higher? Have we budgeted for that in our construction? What happens if companies can't sell properties, so developers can't sell properties because the recession really takes hold? The other thing, shared ownership. These companies are trying to build shared ownership. Shared ownership is pretty much a scam for any leaseholder that buys it. So the more that takes on, you're not going to be able to sell them either. So developers are going to be getting deeper and deeper and deeper in these holes. What I am saying to you right now is please don't take things at face value. Do your due diligence. Look into what people are doing because, oh my gosh, people are struggling. They are going to be ringing around everybody trying to get a little bit of cash so that they can make ends meet. You need to know the people that you're investing in are really, really legit. Now, I do invest in people's businesses, in people's property investments. Of course I do. I like doing that. If I can't necessarily do something myself, but I see an opportunity, yes, of course, I will give money towards that. But we have to be so careful. We are in such dodgy times. Now, it's also not saying that there's not opportunities right now. One of the things that we do need to be looking at is the fact that, okay, right now you've probably been putting offers in on things and the property purchase price has been through the roof and, it can be tough because you have to keep offering, keep getting knocked back. And the reason being is because of this stamp duty holiday that the government have got going on, especially on residential. Commercial, it's just commercial investors trying to claw back money. But with residential property, we will probably be coming to the point soon where if a deal isn't agreed, then there's going to be no benefit from the stamp duty holiday, right? And definitely the legal process is slow because searches are slow, mortgage lending is slow right now. So what you will start to notice is as we come into December, deals start falling through because all of a sudden a buyer has agreed a purchase price over the odds, trying to get that zero stamp duty, find that they're probably not going to complete, so have to pull out, and that is when you swoop in and get the property at a good price. That is really what you should be focusing on. This month, you're going to be sowing the seed, get in contact with agents, start looking at properties, get on the phone to agents, tell them that this is the type of property that you want. You would only buy it for X amount of money, but if at any point a deal falls through, tell them to come back to you. You have to do that. Spend 30 minutes a day doing that. Every single day of the week. Set a time first thing in the morning, 8:30, say 9:30, whatever time suits you, and keep going through that process. Because right now, well, this month it may not happen, so don't expect it to happen this month. If it does, fantastic. I really do believe that coming up in the next couple of months, you are really going to start to see agents getting back in contact with you, desperate for a sale. The other thing is we need to be looking at leasehold properties. And I know last week I had a huge rant about leasehold with Katie Kendrick. Now, if you do leasehold properly and you look at what you're buying and you make sure that you're buying really long leases and you've got a solicitor who understands leasehold and can advise you properly, then leasehold is actually dropping in value right now. And the reason being is because of the cladding and because of onerous terms and leases. So mortgage lenders are being very wary, buyers are being wary about putting in an offer, which means that there's limited demand. So if you can find something that has a really great lease with a really good managing agent, Google the managing agent just to make sure that they're regulated and that they don't have too many complaints about them. Most managing agents have one or two. You want to make sure that there's not like this horror show of complaints. Then it might be worth pursuing because you probably could get that at a discounted price. So there is a lot going on in the market right now. I think one of the things is people are panicking. Obviously, lockdown makes people panic. You just need to stay calm. You need to just keep moving forward and being consistent with it. Ignore the people who are like desperate to get your money and desperate for you to invest with them. Don't do that right now. Seriously, I think it's probably because they're panicking. What you need to do is take a methodical approach. I want you to write down those goals, figure out what properties you need to buy to meet those goals, and then search for them. That is the way that you are going to find that next property. That's how you're going to beat the market right now. Okay, I hope this podcast has been useful. Thank you for joining me today. You've now got homework. Go and do your 30 minutes a day. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, rate and review this podcast because that helps more and more people find it. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait to catch up with you again soon.